Warning: the following podcast contains violent scenes that may be unsettling to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, and welcome to the Brian Diaries, where my pals and I get together and talk about subjects dealing with our favorite tabletop role-playing setting, the World of Darkness. While we may not be subject matter experts on the game lines, we have a passion that has led us to create and share actual plays with you all. Eventually we thought, well shit, we might as well take a stab at a podcast, and here you go. Each episode we will have a guest content creator to join us to talk about whatever subject is on the table. If you would like to contact us, you can reach out to us on Twitter at twin_cities_VTM or on Facebook at Twin Cities by Night. So here we go. I hope you enjoy.
What the fuck is up, bold crew? Holy shit, I am fucking fired up. I've only taken 2 sips of my Starbucks cold brew coffee right now, and I'm already fired up. I feel bad for you listeners because here I'm going to be banging my head against my microphone soon. What is up, Andrew? How goes it, man?
Trying to catch up to you. Holy crap.
Yeah. Well, let's not pretend like you're not living fast and recklessly, man. I mean, I already kind of hinted I was going to fucking lead in with your whole Motley Crue fucking story that you had the other day going to work, man. For all you who don't know, who've been listening, I've been trying to get Andrew here to become a cold brew junkie like I mean, I've been preaching the good fucking word. When we throw on our black robes and do our black mass to the dark gods, I'm always like, hey, bro, you should try some cold brew. And he just tells me to shut the fuck up and pay attention. But so he finally started listening, and I don't know if for those of you who may know Andrew personally and know him on Facebook.
Where are you going with this, Chris?
You know where I'm going with this. The other morning, and this is kind of real life shit. This isn't me fucking being strung out on coffee, but really I had a scare, man, because I woke up the other morning and I saw that my fucking buddy had a car accident, dude, and fucking hydroplaned and flipped his goddamn Toyota Corolla. Now I personally think he was probably blaring out to Motley Crue and doing cocaine and cold brew, man, because this podcaster life, we just live like that. But really in real life,
no,
but not
in actuality. I was listening to Nathan and 25 Years of Vampire the Masquerade at the time, and it was just really surreal to be upside down on the side of the highway in a foot of freezing cold water as Nate and Bob talked about dark secrets of thaumaturgy.
That's pretty eerie, man, because like I could just like imagine like how discombobulated I'd be being like upside down, not knowing what happened, and then hearing 2 guys like talking about Vampire the fucking Masquerade, dude. I don't know.
Calmly and as I'm surrounded by all this chaos.
And it was on a fucking freeway, right?
Yeah. And it's surreal. And we actually have him on today as our guest. So welcome.
What is up, man?
No, I was just like sitting here and I was listening to you talk about being in your car upside down on the freeway, and I don't know that I'm comfortable with anybody hearing my voice is the last thing that they hear. That's a little frightening. Like beyond just the fact that obviously you got a crazy wreck.
Thankfully, I'm all right. And it was not the last thing I heard, obviously, still being here. But it was close. It was very close.
Well, that's crazy. So I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad everything turned out all right.
Yeah, it was kind of fucking funny because Nate commented on some picture on our IG on our Instagram, like all the cool kids do, man. And fucking, I was like, dude, you got to like remind me to tell a fucking story like that's gonna creep you the fuck out about your show. And then I had thought about it. I'm like, man, maybe I should ask like Andrew's permission if it's okay to bring this up. So I asked him, and he's like, I don't give a shit. Go ahead. And I'm like, all right. So Nate, man, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about, not like you have to introduce yourself. I said this last episode when we told people you were going to be on, that there really is no point in introducing you because people should know about you, but in case they haven't, tell us about yourself and your stuff.
Well, I am a podcaster. I do a podcast called 25 Years of Vampire the Masquerade. I've been doing it for about 2 years with my good buddy Bob, and we go over all the different releases of Vampire the Masquerade. We started with the very first book, and we've just gone through the entire line of books for the most part in order of their release. And before that, we were just kind of like doing a pop culture podcast that nobody listened to. And we've been doing that one for about 3 years. Yeah, I'm a lifelong nerd, metalhead, mm, music guy, into movies. Yeah, that's I could go on, but what would be the point?
I highly recommend people check out their podcast because it's something to die for.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Was that a fucking pun? Because it sounds like a pun,
Just a
dude.
really
Do
bad
not get in
joke.
car
Just
accidents.
a really
Yeah, do
bad
not get
joke.
in car accidents intentionally while listening to 25 years of Vampire Masquerade. It's not cool. Andrew's not cool, but I'm glad he's alive. And it sounds like a Motley Crue story, really. I kind of just imagine him like being up all night on cold brew and cocaine and having like a mullet and rocking out to like
No,
kickstart my heart. And were you
pretty
driving to
pretty
Seabird?
mundane. Pretty mundane. Just going to
Pretty
work
much.
and just having, the soothing voices of these two guys. Just like it's pretty cool. Pretty cool
Well,
podcast.
I'm glad that we can lull you into a false sense of security while you drive on the highway.
Yeah.
So now you have another new podcast that you just started recently, right?
Yeah, I do it with my lady friend Rachel. It's called Playing Hooky Podcast, and we basically each bring one of our own pop culture like preferences, something that we really enjoy that the other hasn't been exposed to, and we go, all right, well, this week you get to read this book, and this week I get to watch this movie, and then we get together afterwards and we talk about like our responses to it. We just did one about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I had not ever seen. I was not a fan of. I didn't particularly care for. So I got to sit down and watch a couple of key episodes and then kind of come to the table and share my thoughts about it and talk about it like that. So yeah, it's a relatively new thing, and it's something that we're both pretty hyped about, and hopefully people like it.
That sounds like a really fascinating way to get to know a person.
So the thing for me was that you're always like, you hear about people that are in relationships and they're like, oh, he's into like Warhammer and I'll never that's crazy dorky stuff. And I've always been like, well, why wouldn't you bring the stuff that kind of like moves you into the relationship and try to share it instead of like having these crazy separate things? Like, bring them to the table and enrich the other person's life because it's enriched yours. So that's I think the point. She's really into Star Trek, and I was like, what's the Star Trek stuff? I don't know anything about it. And instead of being like, man, that's your crap, I was like, well, I want to know. I want to know what makes you happy, because it could make me happy too. So that's really the goal. I think gaming for us is all about bringing people together, and pop culture is all about bringing people together. And we kind of live in a time where people use pop culture and anything that they can find to separate each other. And I'm just not okay with that. Like, we should all kind of come together and share our what brings us, what makes us the same instead of what makes us different.
So if she brought a Nickelback CD and she said she wanted you to listen to Nickelback, would you do that? Because that's a true test of love right there, man.
Well, luckily, I'm discerning enough that I wouldn't ever date someone who was into Nickelback. So
that's a good answer. But for real, I discovered 25 years of Vampire the Masquerade right at that key moment, man. Like, where I think we'd only been doing like Twin Cities by Night for like 4 or 5 months, and I was like rediscovering Vampire the Masquerade. And I had been into it like 15 years before, but I wasn't back then. I didn't know shit about the internet, and I just kind of grabbed what books I could. And, I didn't really take like a deep dive. And so when I kind of like fell in love with those games, I started collecting again, was when you guys started 25 years of Vampire the Masquerade, man. And I just felt like, I remember I was driving to my buddy Brendan's Giovanni Chronicles game. He lives on the other side of Phoenix where I live, and it's about an hour drive. And I would always listen to an episode, man, like there and back. I would purposely save them to listen to them. And I like games, like books I normally wouldn't have read, to be honest with you. Like years ago, I had tried to read like Chicago by Night. And I remember listening to the Chicago by Night first edition cover you did and the second edition cover you guys did, and hearing you and Bob talk about the love that you had for that setting, both at I take it having lived in the Chicago area before and having a LARP there, and just like how this game and these NPCs and just how you guys had ran games set in there, and it made me want to go and read through it. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not a super huge fan, but I read through it. You know what I mean? And I read the NPCs, and now and it kind of like drove that spark for me to read some of these books that I kind of ignored. So I absolutely love it, man. And I'm always like recommending your guys' podcast to people who are just like falling in love with the game, you know, and who haven't had the opportunity to read the ton of books. Now you guys are starting to get into the V20 with that, right?
Yeah. So this week we just did the V20 companion. So we're like technically 3 books into V20, and it's not going to take a long time for us to finish up the whole line of Vampire. I think we have like 10 or 12 books left. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but they've only been back in action, so to speak, since like 2011, 2012, really. So it takes a lot longer to write and release a book than it does to sit down and review it. But yeah, we're in V20 now, so we're very close to the end. Like by the time we hit January, people are going to be able to go onto the website and see every book. You know, as some of them we've done twice. So
that's got to be a huge sense of accomplishment. Are you guys gonna? I know you guys have hinted at before thinking about doing Dark Ages next. You kind of like in some of the episodes that you've been asked that by listeners. Is that the plan right now? Is to go into Dark Ages after that?
Yeah, so right now I am taking on the huge task of tracking down as many actual physical Dark Ages books as I can, that money will afford, and we're prepping for Dark Ages in January. You know, we kind of went back and forth a lot about, okay, well, you know, once we're done with this line, what do we do next? Because you know, we are fans of kind of like World of Darkness and White Wolf as a whole. You know, like to me, the truth of the matter is I am a White Wolf fanboy, and I don't want to throw Bob under the bus, but he's more of a fanboy than I am. So very much we were like, do we go werewolf? Do we, you know, do mage? And you know, there's all these different lines, and the world is so vast and rich, but we were like, let's finish with vampires first. You know, that's kind of what brought us to the table. And that's where I think most people are attracted to the game line. So we said, all right, screw it. Modern days are going to be done. Let's start with Dark Ages. And Dark Ages presents its own unique challenges. And that's going to be fun to kind of grapple with as we go along.
Yeah, I'm a collector of the books myself, and I've starting to wrap up my Dark Ages collection. But man, some of those older Dark Ages books, like the British Isles book, like $90, $125 just for a paperback book, is just kind of a gut punch. I've been holding off on that. So there's like a good like 6 or 7 that I'm like, I got to bite the bullet and figure out if I'm going to want to spend the cash on there or not. But yeah, I'm excited to listen to it, man. I really am. And it's a huge testament to your guys' workhorse ability, and that you guys are constantly striving and releasing these episodes every Friday, man. So kudos to you guys, to the huge accomplishment that you guys have done. And I think it shows by the huge listener base that you guys have.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It is a lot of work. And, you know, for the most part, when we got started, we were like, man, we know this game. Like, let's just do some podcasts about it. And the truth of the matter is that when you decide you're going to review a book every week, that means you have to read a book every week. That's the most difficult. That's the most challenging thing about this, is that as you're doing that, you learn, oh, I have to understand this on some other level. Like when you do it simply as a hobbyist, like I'm a gamer, I read a book, I read this over the course of, you know, 6 weeks or whatever. That's different than going, well, I've got to review the Dust to Dust book tomorrow, so I better get reading these last 60 pages. And then, you know, you have to talk about it. So yeah, it is a challenge. It's definitely more challenging than we thought when we started. But if it's, you know, if a thing's worth doing, it's worth doing right. So.
And that's one of the things that I personally appreciate about your podcast, is that you take this information that you have, you digest it, and you give your opinion on it, and you make sure it's clear. Hey, this is our opinion. You know, you might have a different one, but this is what we think, and this is how we approach it, and this is how you might be able to use this.
Yeah, that's the thing that's been, I think, a challenge for us, is when you sit down and you just chat with your friend and you're like, well, you know, this is kind of just me and Bob just shooting the shit. You know, we never really factored at the beginning that, like, you know, other people are going to want to interact with you. And so, you know, a lot of people would come to us and they would be like, no, this is wrong, or you're right about this, but I don't agree with you about that. And we had to emphasize. I felt that we had to emphasize, like, this is just our opinion. We're not authorities. We're just two guys who've been doing it for a long time. And the goal for us was always to share in what we love and not to, tell people like you're doing it the wrong way. And even when we've said like, hey, if you're doing it this way, you're probably doing it wrong. It's kind of like that friendly, jibe, like, hey, we're all playing the same game, but like, let's think of it from a different perspective. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting people interested and getting people hyped about this game that we love. And, just telling everybody like, now we overtly state like, however you do it, that's the right way. Like, everything's correct. There's no wrong way. This is just our opinion about this material. So, yeah.
Amen. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into our first break, and when we get back, we're gonna Nathan's gonna help us talk about running World of Darkness games on Discord, because one of their Patreon rewards they have is a huge Vampire the Masquerade game that they're running on Discord right now. So that's why we invited him here. So stay tuned.
Hello, folks. Have you ever wished you could have an easy way to find gameplay videos and podcasts, or just media in general that deals with your favorite White Wolf role-playing games? Or have you ever wished you could find a forum to share gameplay that you have recorded, one which wouldn't be drowned out by random posts and discussion, so that your media could get the attention you want? Well, we have the answer for you in a Facebook group we run called White Wolf RPGs Gameplay and Media. The group is specifically ran with the sole intent of it being a one-stop shop for people to view or share media involving the games we all love. We take thorough steps to ensure the page does not become cluttered and is easy to traverse. We are currently over 1,000 members strong, and we are continuing to rapidly grow with new media being shared every day. Stop on by. We hope to see you there.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's just dive right into this, Nathan. I have a couple of questions for you, and I want to start off with really simple. What are the different types of methods a person can play tabletop RPGs in World of Darkness over Discord? And how is it different from playing in person? What makes it, unique?
Well, yeah. So there are a lot of challenges I've seen. Just to give you a little bit of background, Bob and I, we had never really ran a game online up until we started this podcast. And basically, we were kind of like, we were blessed. We were blissfully ignorant about like online gaming. And, a few years ago, when I was really super into Vampire and like just tabletop gaming in general, we had tried like some online chats, and the one thing that always kind of stuck out for me was that they were very, very casual. Your online games with a lot of people were very, very casual, and there wasn't like sheets, and it's kind of like join a chat room. And I named myself Todd the Semeti, and that was basically all the effort you had to put into it. And then it was kind of just like a lot of people standing around, quote unquote, standing around role playing, but there wasn't like an actual game there. And so for us, we had always done tabletop. We'd always had at least 5 or 6 people we could find to, sit down and roll dice. And when we started doing this, we started meeting a lot of people who they weren't as blessed as we were. They didn't have a tabletop community that they could just meet up with every week and sit down and roll dice and, eat junk food and have a good time with. So they were, sort of exploring this world that we didn't understand. And because of our lack of like overt knowledge, we didn't like build up to it. We just said, hey, there's this thing called Discord. Like, it'd be really easy to use to run a role-playing game out of. And so we did that. We said, let's use this platform and let's figure it out. And when we first started, I had done like some cursory online searching for like, programs to use to roll dice. And like, we didn't even really have that, right? Like there's in Discord, you have like applications that you can embed into your server that like let you roll dice with command prompts and stuff. And we didn't know any of that. So we just said, well, let's just figure it out and go, as we go. And meeting a lot of people that were knowledgeable about online gaming, they sort of introduced us to like these dice rollers and setting up different servers or different rooms in your server to like indicate different locations. And so we just hit the ground running. And I feel like that was a good thing for us because we didn't know the mistakes other people were making, so we could kind of make them ourselves. But also we didn't have like these built-in hangups. Like, people that when they're established in something, they'll bring their own kind of like hangups, and they'll bring their own like concerns and issues to the game. And so we didn't have that. We just said, this is the game, come on and join. But for us, we brought sort of an in-depth knowledge of different types of gaming, because one thing that we noticed right away, if you sit down and you play with a small group of people, you'll have your 4 or 5 players and your storyteller, and we're all face to face. So things, they roll out differently. Like your interactions can kind of go back and forth between your in character and your out of character as you're listening to the motivations of the players. You're listening to the motivations of their characters in real time, right? It's like a face to face scenario. In a Discord game, you're separated by the gulf of the internet. So you in most cases you're not seeing their faces, you're not seeing their body language, and sometimes you're not even hearing their actual voice, because that was the other thing too, right? Like some people play this game solely by sitting at the keyboard and chatting. Some people will do it through the voice, like a normal voice program, like what we're doing here. But rarely is it done through a video scenario like we're doing this podcast, right? So podcasting and gaming have that correlation too. If you're off in a different location and we're not using video, we don't see each other's faces. So we're not picking up on social cues. So that was like the first major thing that we had to figure out as storytellers, was figuring out a way to pick up on social cues. So I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but that was a huge gulf to try to figure out. So people, what we didn't understand, like when we started doing our game, we started it like a year and a half ago now, I would say. We just said, well, hey, we'll let people sit down and type their words out, and if they want to jump into a voice chat, then we can do that. But when you do that, your dynamic for your game is completely different, right? It's totally different than sitting at the table. And you don't know what somebody's doing when they're typing in a computer, 1,000 miles away or 100 miles away or in the next room. And so all of your responses, all of your interactions are going to be totally different. So that's something that for someone who's not used to storytelling online, that can be a huge gulf for. Now, we do 2 games. So we do one that is, voice or just text, and you're kind of like at your own pace. And then I do one that's totally voice. I don't do any text at all. And the reason why I don't do any text at all is because the game that I run, I do it once a month, and it's a much more traditional minded game. I use Discord only to post like pictures or things that are not necessarily imperative to like verbal interactions, or just like, here's a photo of the building you're going into, and I post it in the chat room. And then everything else is done over voice, because I want the entire group that's involved, I want them to be a coterie or a party or whatever, replace your personal group here. But that one, I only, we do 4 hours and then it's over. But then the other game that we run that's huge, that's kind of like going on all the time. So, it has its own limitations, but also there's people that'll play for like 15 minutes on break. And they'll role play with other players in a kind of like a real time scenario. So that's like two separate types of games all together, and each present their own unique challenges.
That's kind of an interesting point, because I was wondering, like, what's the one like thing that you see when players join that they don't expect, when they join your Discord? Like, what should a player expect who has never played in a Discord like text type game, that maybe have played in tabletop or maybe have read about tabletop? Because I know you guys you have a lot of people joining who, like you said, aren't fortunate enough to have groups locally to play in, and that are looking for, games. So what's one thing that usually is a hard realization for them once they join?
Well, people come with their own preconceived notions. And what I mean by that is everybody's already gamed before, and they gamed before us. And we have a way of doing things, or we have an understanding of this game or just gaming in general. And they have a way of understanding that's going to be different than ours, because we didn't come from an online gaming community. We came from a real life gaming community. We come from a LARP tabletop setting, and a lot of people come from their only exposure to this game is doing it online. And people that came before us, they did it differently than us, and they did it differently than us in a lot of ways. And for some people, they have both preconceived notions on how they should play, as in the mode that they use to emote and how they interact with their storyteller, but also the sort of challenge level of the game. Everybody runs their game differently, and there's not necessarily a right or wrong, but certain people have an expectation that, well, I'm going to come in here and I can kind of like play whatever I want, and it's going to be like a very like fluffy, soft environment. And we don't believe in that. We don't believe in making the world sort of a soft, fluffy environment. And for some people, that can become a point of contention, right? Like that can be something where they're like, hey, this doesn't make sense to me, that, when I ran down the street and I murdered that group of teenagers, like, I don't understand why someone's coming after me. And, we as storytellers have always believed in, ramifications for actions. Just like in the real world, just because you're in a fantasy world doesn't mean that you shouldn't have ramifications for that. And so people's understanding of what a response to their actions should be. But also for us as storytellers, the one thing that we've always done from the beginning is set people down and try to talk to them and try to interview them, like you would a job interview, essentially. Not necessarily to go, are you good enough to do this, but can we mesh? The one thing that I think is the biggest hang up for most gaming communities is everybody comes in and they assume everybody understands things. And the truth of the matter is, it's very rare that anybody does. You come in with your notions, and people come in with their notions, and without communication, you're not ever going to have a good experience.
Yeah, that's fair. Communication plays a big part in it. It's a role-playing game, and you have to be able to be on the same page with your expectations with everyone, players and storytellers alike.
Yeah. We came from LARP, and LARP. Well, I came from LARP, and Bob, who is the head storyteller of the game, we had 50 to 100 players at times, and these are players that you're going to be interacting with in a real world scenario. So when people get heated or upset, they're right there in your face. So you get really good at gauging people and trying to put out those fires before they start. And that was something that benefited us because we'd had this experience in a real world setting. So we kind of anticipated, if you have the wall of the internet behind you or in front of you, it's going to be even more difficult. to kind of put out those fires. So, we wanted to do that one thing where, hey, we're taking strangers on. Let's sit down. Let's talk to them. Let's get a gauge for their understanding of this game, and let's move on from there. One thing that we didn't anticipate is that a lot of times people are going to tell you what they think you want to hear, and that can be rough.
Oh, when people aren't being honest with them with what they think is the correct answer, but instead trying to tell you what they think you want to know.
Right. So one challenge that we faced in this process was people can hear our opinions before they talk to us. So we're very forthright. We're very overt. We don't mince words when it comes to this game, and kind of how we understand it. And so on a number of occasions, we've kind of had to sift through the bullshit, as it were, and really get to the meat and potatoes of what people, a lot of people use gaming to sort of fill a space where maybe something's not being met in their real life, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to anticipate that beforehand, because it can get problematic. It can get to a point where people are going off the sort of deep end with their characters, and you're trying to maintain, sort of continuity in your game, and that does require a little bit from the player and a little bit from the storyteller. So that can be challenging.
It sounds like you've used a lot of different skills that you learned through years of playing in person to help. As far as going to this online format, were there any kind of tools or skills that you had in a digital environment that were able to help you enhance experience at all, or what kind of things like those specific Discord tools that you mentioned before that you've brought in to make the game just a better, more rich experience for everyone?
Yeah. So with our main game, a tool that really helped me was learning how to type and kind of be like an impromptu writer immediately, because this type of conversating, it's easier to keep people engaged because your brain is working in real time, right? When you're working with your voice, you're the little stumbles and the little uhs and ahs, those help you to arrange your words, and people interpret that language, right? So in a voice setting, this is a little bit easier, but in a text setting, you have to sit down and sort of arrange your words in a very organized way so that people read them and they're not like, what are you talking about? And so for me, spending a lot of time on the internet in my youth, I think, was helpful. I didn't necessarily spend a lot of time storytelling on the internet, but that's something, if you're going to sit down and you're going to run like a text-based game, you need to practice typing. You need to practice typing fast, and you need to practice typing concisely. So that can be an issue for some people. However, what I've found, just interacting with people in general, is there's a lot of people that like to write. When you play this game, most people are they're in the process of writing something or making something. So you're going to see that a lot of people will challenge you with their descriptions. I think that doing this in a text-based format on like Discord, it's much more it's much more descriptive on both people's parts. As a storyteller, you want to be clear and you want to be concise and you want to be descriptive, but then your players will describe to you the way that their characters feel in a way that's different than most people can verbalize. And so you'll find that not only are they going to be challenging to you, but they're going to make you better because you want to match their output. So that's a skill that you need. Also, just for me, my experiences in sort of the real world job market in a more corporate aspect has helped me immensely, because your players are akin to a customer, right? You're going to be given bad news as a storyteller. In almost all scenarios, you're going to be giving bad news to your players, right? You're going to be, something bad's going to happen to them. Something
It is the world of darkness.
Right, exactly. So some people are just not very well equipped at having bad news presented to them. And so it does behoove you as a storyteller to get good at presenting bad. I have a lot of sales experience, and you would say, well, how does sales experience help? Well, it helps because often along with sales, you have to give bad news. You have to tell people stuff they don't want to hear. So, you for a lot of people, they're like, well, I don't want to boil other people down to like a corporate perspective. Well, sometimes you have to. Sometimes there is a time for camaraderie and just hanging out with your homies. And other times you might have to mow those homies down with a car, and then tell your player, like, I just killed your allies. Sorry.
I always knew you were a Pentex employee.
I definitely am. We have many subsidiaries.
So the final question I have, and I'm Johnny New Guy, and I just fucking signed up for your Discord game. I've never played on Discord. I really want to play a World of Darkness game. I'm all fucking pumped up. I'm ready to go. And if you had just one piece about the whole experience to make it to where I get the most enjoyment of it, what would your one word of advice be?
My one word of advice would be to keep your expectations low. And that seems like a really strange thing, doesn't it? Like, don't expect anything. Well, the reason why I say that is because, like, for us, we do it as like a reward for people that listen to our podcast, right? And one of the things that we've had to face on a number of occasions is people have an expectation about us, about what we're doing, and it's never really correct. So coming into sort of like our arena, we want to tell people, like, hey, this is something that we put a lot of time and effort into, but we do it because we want to share our joy of the game with people who like our podcast, right? If you're going into another game, they may be doing it for a different reason. They may be doing a casual role play. Somebody may be doing like a much more aggressive version of what we do. They may do it completely different. And so I would say, in this community, period, you want to go into any game or any gaming scenario with no expectation, because nobody is doing it for the same reason. Everyone has a different purpose. Everyone has a different, a different elevator pitch that they're going to present you. And, there's some where I look at them and I go, oh, this doesn't match what I would want to do. Some storytellers I've played under, and I like to just experience gaming. So I'll pretty much play at any table, right? I'll play at a virtual table. I'll play at a real table. If you've got a book and some dice, I'm pretty much there, provided I have the time. But with that, I've had to go, I need to take my expectations and I need to like lower them. I need to really draw them down and just have an open mind for whatever the storyteller or the other players bring. My way is not necessarily the right way. My way is just my way. So that's the one piece of advice I would give you as a player, that when you set out, you're going to create a scenario in your mind, and it's probably going to do you well to just get rid of that scenario right off the bat. For us, we take a very specific, we take everyone to task before we get them into the game, and we go, okay, do you listen to our podcast? And if they go, oh no, I just heard 1 or 2 episodes, we go, well, maybe this is not for you. Thank you very much. And it's important for us to do that. It's important for us as storytellers to go, sometimes you're a fit, sometimes you're not. And if you don't meet criteria that we need, we have to just say, no, thanks. We appreciate you coming, but you've got to go. And that's not something that we had knowledge of when we started. that was something we had to learn.
Thank you for answering those questions. I appreciate it, man. Like if you guys haven't checked it out, and if you are a fan, if you have listened to 25 years of Vampire the Masquerade for a while, and you understand Nate and Bob and want to get in on an awesome game that's set in the LA by Night scene, the original LA by Night scene, come by and hit them up, hit their Patreon up, and get in on it. We have a couple people who we know who are on our Discord who play in it and who have nothing but good things to say. Doc, if you're listening, he's one of them. He tells us some interesting stories about being Sabat and the stories. So definitely you guys should check it out. And yeah, do you got anything else to say, Nate, before we cut to our break?
I mean, I would just probably want to reiterate one more time, like, if there's one thing that you take away from this, it's that gaming should be something that brings you together with your community, and it shouldn't be something that you use as a divider. Not to be like anybody's dad here, but our tendency is as dorks, let's be honest, is a lot of times to talk about how great we are at a thing and how not great you are at a thing, instead of going, hey, this is something that we all enjoy. And, nobody's wrong for the way that they play unless they're pushing other people out of it. Like, and I believe that in all things that I do. I'm really big into metal, and metal is the same way. It's like, if you don't listen to the most extreme, you're not cool. I was like, all right, cool. Well, maybe I'm into a different thing, but like, I'm still here. Right. So yeah, that would be the only thing that I would say is that, use this. If you're a person who's pushing somebody out of a hobby, you're only doing yourself a disservice because you're limiting the amount of people you have to interact with. Like, there's nothing wrong with people enjoying the same thing you do.
So we're going to jump into our next break. And when we come back, we'll be talking about someone that we have summoned forth through our Black Magic, Black Sabbath coffee drinking rituals. We have found ourselves a new member of the Twin Cities by Night gang, Andrew. I think we've been successful in that, don't you? I think we have. We'll talk about this person when we come back from our break, and we'll introduce them. And until then, stand on by.
High Level Games, the industry's first choice in taking your games to the next level. We are a podcast blog and new media network at highlevelgames.ca. We have blog posts about all of your favorite games going up 5 days a week, and a podcasting network with actual plays and shows that discuss role-playing games, with more rolling out all the time. We are on iTunes, Twitch, and YouTube. Find out more information at highlevelgames.ca, a site that certainly isn't controlled by a shadowy board of directors of otherworldly origin. That's highlevelgames.ca.
Please, help. They're coming.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to last segment. And as Chris was saying there, we have a very big announcement and introduction to make. Now, many of you are already aware that a while back we were looking for someone new to join the Twin City by Night crew to come in and play in a Demon the Fallen Chronicle. It'll be run by our very own Mitch / Adam / whatever you may know him as. He's appeared in many of our chronicles. We had an application process. We reviewed everybody, and there was just, it was really difficult for us. There was quite a few people that applied, and many who were final contenders, but ultimately we had to pick one person. Couldn't have everybody in. Sorry. So we're going to be letting a lot of people down right now. But just give a very warm welcome to Rebecca, who is going to be on our channel.
AKA Epic Botch on the Discord, for those you don't know. Sorry. What's up, Becca? Tell us about yourself.
So
how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Feel free to call me Becca. That's just my more casual name. Gosh, I've been playing World of Darkness for probably the last 11 years, and my very first experience role-playing was actually a Werewolf the Apocalypse game. That was very interesting, and then from there I actually took like a step back and I did D&D, and that's when I actually really started getting into role-playing and being more interested in it myself. So, yeah.
She has actually been Epic has been I don't know if I've always called you Epic. I actually didn't know your name was Becca until like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. Like it's kind of funny too because for those of you who don't know, a little peek behind the curtain, there's 9 of us now in the gang. There was 8 of us though before in the TCBN gang, and the discussions we were having while trying to pick someone were like these epic long. Like Andrew can attest. We're like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Everyone come up with a list of their score. We're gonna give a point system, and then we're gonna like go by point system. And then we found out like there was like a group that were like really close together in point system. So then we had like these discussions about like weighed all these options, and it went smooth, which is kind of weird. It took a while, but it really went smooth, which I was blown away by, Andrew, because sometimes when the gang all 8 try to figure something out because we're like a democracy, usually it's like it takes a long time. Go ahead.
The thing with that is we all know exactly what it is we're looking for in our games, and we all have that in common. So we knew that there was a couple of different people we could choose from who applied that was going to be able to join us, and we were going to be happy with any of them. And it was just narrowing down and choosing the best fit to come play with us.
Definitely. And Becca has been admin on our Discord for since like not too long after we created it, right? When I can't remember. It wasn't too long because we didn't expect it. I mean, and I'm not fucking saying this to sound pretentious at all, but we just didn't expect as many people to join our Discord that joined. And so when people started joining, we realized, fuck, dude, like we might need some more people to help like keep things under control here. Becca was one of the 3 admins that we brought on and has done great. And she's listened to our stuff, and she's always had feedback for our stuff and kind of like given her opinions and everything like that. And yeah, man, it was a hard decision, but it was one that we made, and I'm happy about it. I'm fucking excited every time. And, and I'm going to say this from my perspective because, like I'm not saying this again to sound like a douchebag, but like I started this because I wanted to run a vampire game online. Didn't know shit about actual plays. Didn't know any of that fucking shit. We almost didn't. You guys have heard the story before. Almost didn't even record it on YouTube because Slavic and I couldn't fucking figure out to get Hangouts to work to switch screens. And we almost said fuck it, and then one of us figured it out. And it originally started with like 5 of us, and then eventually we brought one person on, and then we brought 2 more people on, and then we brought another person on, and now we're bringing on another person. And it's always been like this thing to like, what can we like? We not only do we want to add to the gang, but we want to like better ourselves too, and like with the content that we create, and we want someone who understands like what our overall like vision is and what we do with Twin Cities by Night. And I'm not trying to say like we got a mission statement or any shit like that, because we're not Pentex employees like some people that are on here with us, but like we
let me myself real quick. I did not know about the concept of actual plays until I heard of Twin Cities by Night. I didn't know that was a thing. So, give yourself some credit in that regard too. That's how out of touch we are. Like, I didn't know that the community even existed before your podcast. So,
well, that's very humbling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's give Rebecca here a chance to talk and tell us a little bit more about you, the people who are listening. What besides just your gaming experience, just tell them a little bit more about who you are and what you like and why you wanted to play with us.
Wow. Okay. So actually a lot of my hobbies do include playing lots of different games. I'm currently running a D&D game and an Exalted game in person, and they're both just so much fun. I love the people that I can actually get to hang out with in that setting. So that's great. It does take a lot of my time with the planning and doing that. But other hobbies that I tend to have, I actually like to play music. I went to school and I got a BA in music specifically. So that's another thing I like to do. It's always one of those things when people ask you and I'm like, well, I don't know, I do stuff.
I just do stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay. I kind of put you on the spot there. It's fine.
No, it's good. Mostly, yeah. I played too many games is what it feels like. But No, it's great. And, I've been listening to you guys for probably the last almost about a year. I don't know. It's been a while. But my first introduction to Twin City by Night was my every other Saturday group that plays D&D called the Chosen Ones. I think 2017, we did a summer where we took a break from D&D and we did like one shots of World of Darkness. And Chris being the good person of going out and inviting anybody to join the community who does World of Darkness and just building it up, like that was my first introduction to it. And I was like, oh, okay, what's this Twin Cities by Night about? And I had no concept of podcasts where people do actual plays. And so it was like a very slow, gradual introduction. And then I found out that you guys had Discord and I was like, oh, it took me a while to warm up to the idea. And then I joined and you guys were just, everybody there is just so great. And it's a fun community to be a part of. And I'm really glad to be a part of it.
Be prepared to be reached out to by a Starbucks representative, and they're going to require an address so you can get your sponsorship cold brew, lifetime sponsorship. They're just going to drop a bunch of fucking boxes on your front porch, but within them lies the black magic of coffee, cold brew. You are expected to drink at least 5 a day. So you can get on the level.
Wow.
You can become awakened. You can become a time age, just like us.
You should know, though, however, that none of this is actually required because I don't fulfill it either.
And when he does, he gets in car accidents listening to fucking 25 Years of Vampire the Masquerade, and it's just pretty intense, dude. But no, seriously, in all seriousness, it's awesome. Becca has been on our Discord, and she actually like I always see her like giving people advice about games, because they'll ask questions. We have people jump in there and be like, hey, what would I do in this situation? And one thing that that I think Becca has that I severely lack in Discord is the fact that you can tell she really, like, when someone's like, hey, I have this concept, or hey, I have this idea for a story, she'll sit there and listen, and you could tell that she's listening, you know what I mean? And where I feel sometimes on Discord or just online, sometimes I'll come across maybe like not warm enough, and I really get this impression like she'll listen, she'll ask questions, give critiques, or give strengths, or give advice and everything like that, and that's a good thing, dude. So I'm glad that you're here, and I'm also glad that that perspective and that kind of insight that you have now, we can maybe tweak some things within Twin Cities by Night, you know what I mean, and now have another voice, to where we do it. So I'm totally fucking stoked for that. Everyone should give a congrats to Epic Botch, aka Becca. When they hear this, shoot her congrats. And now she's part of the gang. And not only does that mean she's going to be part of this Demon the Fallen game that Mitch, the man of many voices, is going to run, but she'll be part of like fucking anything that pops up, dude. Just like when we do anything, when someone has an idea for a game, it comes up, and she'll be part of the pool. And yeah, she'll add her insight. So welcome, Becca. It's seriously awesome to fucking have you join us. Every time that new player joins Twin Cities by Night, it fucking excites me, and I feel like even more motivated. It's just like an extra boost of cold brew in my veins, man. And it was like that when Andrew joined for the Ultimate Evil, and it was like that anytime we got a new fucking player. So congrats, and from rest of the gang too, congrats. So we're gonna move on into some things that we have coming up, but before we do, I want to give a shout out to our new Patreons. Matter of fact, Nate, I gave you a shout out last, Brian Diaries, for the awesomeness, and we appreciate that, bro. And this is fucking mind-boggling what you said, by the way, about the actual play thing. And I want to seriously say that made my day. You know what I mean? And you being here as a guest also has, dude. So thank you for that.
It's been my pleasure. I mean, like I said, we didn't do any investigating before we started. We were like, we play Vampire, let's do a podcast. And it turns out there's other people that like that stuff too. So that's really been the best. Like this 2-year journey of doing this podcast, the best part of it has been finding out that there is a community and there are people who enjoy the stuff that we enjoy, and we can collaborate. And there's nothing, I think, worse than people who kind of like go behind each other's backs and do, like we've been in communities before where, people are backbiting and they're trying to get ahead on top of each other. And like, we all do this because it's fun, and we want to make this something that's enjoyable for other people. And, the fact that we live in a world now where a bunch of friends can get together and sit down at a table and roll some dice together, and other people can enjoy that, like, that's ridiculous. That's just awesome. So yeah, we're more than happy to, talk to anybody and just collaborate as much as possible. So
the good point about the backbiting, you say, for all you new content creators in the World of Darkness scene, I have a reality check for you. There's not Cristal waiting for you around the corner with the Puff Daddy kind of lifestyle, man. So it's like, do this for the sheer fact that like people will enjoy it, and that's what you should do it for. You're not going to get rich doing this, just saying it right now, but I mean, you know what I mean? I just hate to break it to you guys.
You'll get rich in other ways. You'll get rich in spirit, you'll get rich in heart, that's
exactly.
Do it because you want to have fun.
Because it brings you joy. Exactly. So I'd like to give a shout out to our 5 new Patreons: Ariel Lee, Ariel, aka Hum, aka our Changeling Lost fan, who now is going through War is on Fire and is saying that she thinks Coyote is something precious, which is like, like fucking right now, Alex is.
If you have a
New
really
Zealand
twisted view on what precious is, then yeah, sure. Coyote is precious. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to thank Ariel, who became a Patreon. Her username on her Discord is Hum. She basically, I was saying before, like I kind of go through these ebbs and flows when as a content creator, meaning like I kind of like will start beating myself up a little bit, or stuff will start bugging me, and then I'll have a talk with someone, or I'll find something out new, and I'll just like shoot for the stars. I'll get motivated, and I'll just try to like. It'll just give me like this new fuel, like this little extra burst. And I was going through one of those periods, and Hum just had this random conversation with me in our general chat of our Discord, where she was talking about her experience as a professional, like a promoter, like a sales promoter. Like she uses like social media to like help out restaurants and stuff like that get noticed. And she like really had this like in-depth talk and just let me pick her mind about using Twitter to like help promote stuff. And she was telling me about like different hashtag uses and talking about like Hootsuite, which is a tool. And it was just like, was really patient and was nice enough to sit there and let me like give me this advice and like this tutorial on what to do. And so like, even if you are a content creator and if you want to find out like more about that, I would say even jump on our Discord and like talk to her. Her username is HUM, and I'm sure she'd be able to help you out. But not only was she helpful and gave me like that boost of inspiration, she also became a Patreon, and for that I want to thank her sincerely. She always listens to our stuff. She's just she has valuable feedback, and I really appreciate that. Next, I'd like to thank Ian Mueller, then Jake Campbell, Sage Stafford. Sage Stafford has been there since like I got on Twitter, dude. She is part of a D&D actual play podcast called The Venture Maidens, who I think they're pretty well known, like all female D&D actual play podcast. And she's like really been like super nice to me, and actually had me before like right when I first got on Twitter, had me be I can't remember the guy's name, had me be a guest on some dude who's like in the D&D community on his podcast talking about the World of Darkness. And she didn't know shit about me. Like she just got to know me, and she was nice enough to be like, hey, I'd like you to go on there. And I was like, I don't fucking know. Okay, I get, you know what I mean? Like, who am I? But she's always been super helpful. Her and her boyfriend have been great. And just thank you also, Sage, for becoming a Patreon. And then finally, Totis, who I don't want to butcher your last name, but he's been listening to our stuff from day one, and I really appreciate that too. So all you guys who are Patreons, thank you again. It means a lot. So what do we have coming up? So we had to reschedule the Hunters Hunted 2. We had a player who couldn't make it. We're a little sad. I'm having a blast playing that game, but the little silver lining on the gray cloud is on the 28th. And on the 4th of November, we're going to be playing Twin Cities by Night Dread. So we're going to have 2 sessions in a row. Man, Andrew, I'm fucking loving Dread. I think we left on kind of a cliffhanger. I don't want to like spoil, but like
I said, it's not a cliffhanger when they literally go over the edge.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say. It's not a cliffhanger. That story is really getting steam, man. Like, one thing, I was talking to Joaquin about this the other day, who Joaquin plays Katao. It's been like there since day one playing. We were saying how like about with the story, how a lot of it's just been the characters separated. maybe a couple will get in contact with each other, but a lot of it has been them doing their own thing, and kind of like me being able to tell more of the story because they kind of have their own motivations and they're not really like a quote unquote quarterly or whatever. But like now it seems, and I don't know if Andrew can attest to this or not because he plays in it, but it seems now more that like organically they're being drawn together, and which the timing is perfect because like you can really tell like the story's starting to pick up steam. And so I feel like it's naturally happening like for their own reasons that they're kind of getting drawn together in a way. And you saw that in this last 3 podcast episodes that we had, which was I've been really looking forward to, and I'm really looking forward to what happens afterwards. And of course I planned it to go kind of a completely different way, and it didn't go the way I thought, but not in a bad way. And in a way, a lot of stuff came across, I feel more like scary because a lot of it's still unknown. And I think there was some pretty good scenes in there. And are you still having fun there, Andrew, playing in it, or what?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the game. It's one of those things where it's a very dark character that I'm playing, and I'm enjoying being able to portray something like this in a tasteful way. So
Yeah, the character of Lenny is definitely an interesting concept, and all the characters for the most part, and it's really cool and seeing like everyone kind of grow into it. And I can't believe like that was our 11th session that we had for it, and usually that's really long for us because I think like what was Wars was like 11 or 12 sessions or something like that. So this is going to probably be longer than a lot of our character concepts, and so or a lot of our story arcs. So very interested to have 2 sessions in a row on that, really, because I'm getting into the meat of a lot of plot, by the way, that like I've had planned like 2.5 years ago, and now it's like finally starting to touch a lot of what is happening in Dread. Originally was going to be like side stories and Twin Cities by Night, like Negligence and Homecoming, and like now I just kind of like made it its own story, which is actually works out way better, and I'm happy it worked out that way. So check that out. Keep your eyes open for it on the 28th and on the 4th. That's going to be 6 episodes of the podcast of that in a row. So I'm really excited for that. Then we got Changeling the Lost on the 18th, and fucking shitballs, dude. I am loving Changeling the Lost Vanity, man. Like seriously, man. It is gross, but I'm fucking loving it, dude. I felt like that last session, man, especially you playing Isabel and Manny and Slavic, like the with you people who are not in the hedge, like I felt that was fucking awesome, man. And again, like just the way that Adam is using a fucking ogre, like who has no like fucking like social skills and is all awkward to like promote this story is fucking rad, man. And I'm really enjoying that, man. Especially the scene you had in the club. I felt that was some really deep exploration of your character there, man. And I want to give you kudos to that too. Definitely, that was an interesting scene.
yeah, it's been fun. I felt it was important to just kind of show something a little less like overtly supernatural, considering the other things that were going on. So I brought it up to Adam on the side, like, hey, let's run a scene kind of like this. And he was like, yeah, cool. And then we just ran with it, and it worked out.
Yeah, that's a cool thing too. I like about what Adam does is that I mean, it's like that in tabletop games too and everything like that, where you're like, hey, I would like to explore this with my character. And he'd be like, okay. And you don't know what's going on, but he'll like set these scenes up to where you can kind of explore more of your character. And he's not like railroady at all. And just so you know, and I've said this before and I'm saying this again, this is Adam's first time ever storytelling a game, period. Like period, ever storytelling a game. And
he's doing his like second game that he's ever been in
his second game he's ever been in, and he's doing it on a fucking and he's doing it on a podcast to where the public sees. He gets nervous as fuck. He says he gets nervous still a little bit, but he is doing like really good, and like the techniques that he has far surpasses like shit that I do, man. And I actually I like techniques that he has, and I'm like, man, how can I fucking do that? You know what I mean? And it's great, dude, and I'm having a blast. And I hope he's talking about, and I don't want to say this is official yet, because we have a queue of games that we have planned to run. We have, and you're going to hear about this, Becca. You'll start hearing about the queue, but he has this game that he's talking about running, because a little Twin Cities by Night secret. We're all fans of Young Guns and Young Guns 2. It's just like a corny thing. We all love the fucking 2 movies. They're fucking awesome. And he's talking about running a Werewolf the Forsaken game that takes place in that same time period in New Mexico. And you're going to be like cattle hands working like during a cattle war. And you're going to have to I'm just like, oh, fuck, dude, please run this game.
Cowboy Werewolf? Yes, yeah. Please.
Yeah, and I'm like, and it's not gonna be Apocalypse, it's gonna be Forsaken, but just the way he explained it, I'm like, oh, and he's like throwing all these Young Gun like fucking quotes and shit, and I'm just like so fucking excited because I'm like, I want to play. Yeah, I was hooked. I mean, I'll stop my games. I'm like, I'm not running shit. Like when he's running this, I'm gonna fucking play in it. Like I'm so excited. And if it's if it's gonna be like how he's handling Vanity, dude, I'm fucking sold. And he's already like, does anyone know any good books about cattle wars? And so he's all like trying to find like books about that time period because he's already starting to research it. So I think it's a go. Maybe might be ran after one of our demon games that are going to be coming, but we'll see. And then next month we're not going to have a Brian Diaries because there's some super secret shit going on that everyone already fucking knows about pretty much. So it's not super secret, but we will be recording Slavic's special, or what was it? Slavic's Snowflake special part 2. Even more witty what action one-liners. And
What
when
he called it Slavic Super Badass Snowflake Sequel Sucka.
Yeah, Saka, and it's gonna be
Wow.
yeah, it's gonna be insane because his goal, and so far everyone's committed, is that we're gonna have all 9 Twin Cities by Night members playing in this. And what it's gonna be is gonna be
Total
where
chaos. It's gonna be total chaos.
and someone else is gonna create your character for you. And for those of you listening who don't know, Slavic Snowflake Special is a comedy game. He just runs. We don't take it too seriously. We drink during it, and he just goes berserk. Last game had Putin, Donald Trump, McDonald's, fucking necromancy katanas, and a whole bunch of other shit. So it was really fun. And Adam, I hope Adam plays a gargoyle again because what was his gargoyle's name? I can't remember, but he had this gargoyle that was like an action movie star and had like the spiky blonde hair and sunglasses of that guy who goes to diners and dives or whatever. And he's like, and he kept doing these CSI like one-liners at the perfect time.
It was really cheesy.
That's
the point of the game, though. So
it's cheesy, and we'll release that April 1st. So because it's super serious and we take it seriously.
That's what we got next month.
Yeah, that's what we got next month. So stick along. If you guys would like to follow us, you can find us on Twitter at twin_cities_VTM. You can find us on Facebook at Twin Cities by Night. You can find us on Discord in the description. Man, we're done. You guys got anything to say before I let you all go back to your normal lives?
Yes. Thank you for having me, of course. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed the absolute shit out of it. And if you are ever running a game and you're looking for an extra player and you're not reaching out to the community, let me know. I am a gamer and I love to play games. Also, if you haven't heard our podcast, if you're interested in it, just go to utilitymuffinlabs.com. That's all one word. And you can find all of our podcast stuff there, all of our visual creations and all of our other goofy stuff. So
muffins too.
Yes, we do provide muffins, although we don't currently have any bakers. So we're working on it. But yeah, just go to our website because it'll lead you to our Twitter, our Discord, everything.
And just so you know, Nate, if I ever do get cancer, I'm gonna have my wife play your voice over like the intercom system while people put flowers around me, so you can be the last thing that I hear before I leave this earth.
If you ever get cancer, I think you just cursed yourself.
That took a really dark turn.
It's the world of darkness, bro. Don't judge me. It's my art. All right, everyone. It's getting weird. I'm gonna drink cold brew. Leave me alone. I want to talk to my friends. Hold on, you got something to say? He's about to jump in. Are we gonna have a moment right here, Nate?
No, I was just going to say, I bring the best out in people.
Yeah, awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you for checking us out. Leave me alone. I'll talk to you guys later.
The Los Angeles metropolitan area is constantly growing and changing. The Central District is full of new buildings. The Hollywood and Wilshire districts, once far from downtown, now are part of a which spreads past Beverly Hills and out to the ocean. But why is all this going on in Los Angeles? Why is Los Angeles an exploding city?
Neon Masquerade.
The Demon's Mirror.
13 Candles.
3 chronicles running through the undead veins of the City of Angels.
The Esoteric Order of Roleplayers Actual Play podcast invites you to drink deeply.
Go to eorpodcast.com and search the duets tag to find out more.